Well, hello, welcome back. We are up here in what is officially the old section of the cemetery, and my wife and I were up here the other day doing some find a grave and noticed that these tablet stones were really impossible to read. So we thought it would take a crack at cleaning them, see if that made them any better. We did have a couple questions where we are when we're doing this. This is a Mount Pleasant Cemetery in Port Byron, New York. This is the old section here. So the original section, basically, dating back. There's some sites in here, some stones dating back to the 1820s. Pretty much as old as I've seen. A lot of these big tablets, a lot of monuments. A couple new ones, probably replacements. And this is Mount Pleasant. You can see the drumlins in the distance here. So this is the kind of the high point, close to the god, I guess. So anyway, so let's see, get this set up here, and we're going to try this, see if it makes any difference. Now, I've already checked it out. This is broken off, or it's been just stuck into the ground, but it is pretty sturdy. So I don't feel too much concern about treating it. So like everything we do, we're going to give it a good wetting. And there have been videos that I've done where just shooting the video, you can make out the stone, the inscription, a lot easier. So maybe that'll show up. Who knows? Get some stuff out of the bucket of goodies here, and we'll just start with the scraping. A lot of this black mold, but there's also a lot of moss, I guess, on there, lichen. And I'll repeat myself. It's a windy day, but I will repeat myself in the as we go through the steps here, because I'm not that smart and I don't have a lot to say. So I'll just repeat what I said before, in case you just happen to be watching one of these for the first time, kind of getting interested in how to do it, or if you want to do it on your own. There's a lot more people out there much smarter than me that you should watch. Same people I've watched. So we got the water, we scraped it down. We're going to spray it with the D2. No, maybe not. There we go. Or not D2, I'm sorry. This is Orvis soap. And we're just giving it a good squirting with that. And then we're just going to give it a stiff brush. Just give it a gentle brushing, just to knock that heavy stuff out of there. I'm assuming these stones are from the 1850s or earlier, so we're going to give them all kinds of care. I can already start to read more on here. Looks like a Daniels, D-A-N-I-E-L-S. We're already making progress. It looks like 1820, 20 something. So this stone is probably one of the originals to the cemetery. Port Byron is in the middle part of the state. Port because it was on the Erie Canal, and so you see a lot of early settlements from that early time of the canal, 1820s, and of course people moved here and died right away. There was a settlement here before that. Like everything in central New York, it's goes back to the military tract, and they gave away land. They gave away the Native Americans land to the Revolutionary War guys, and it's a whole sordid history that we're not going to get into here because I don't know enough about it, other than the fact to know that they, kind of forced the Native American out and gave the land to the white guys. They came here, 1829. They came here and started settling and started dying right away. Thus, we get these grave markers from pretty close to the time that the village was first getting really settled. I've given it a bunch of soap. I've given it, I'm going to switch over to water here. And I'm just going to start scrubbing away with a little bit lighter brush, a little bit softer. I can already tell that this is Henry Daniels. It's always nice when this works. You take something that you could never see before and bring it back. And who the heck knows, somebody may be looking for old Henry here. Take a seat here. Look at this. Sun's coming through the trees, popping it right out. So much fun. So much fun. Man, just, that's great. So we'll make sure to update this and find a grave. Somebody's looking for old Henry. There's a little bit in, it's a good inscription still, so I'm going to get my fingernail brush. A little bit of water. I'm going to work on that. Use the fingernail brush, which has a little bit stiffer bristles. And again, I'm not scrubbing real hard, just kind of working onto it. Working that growth out of there. Anyway, as I was saying, Port Byron is in central New York. If you've ever driven down the thruway, you go right by Port Byron. It's getting pretty well known now for the thruway stop, the old Erie Canal Park. That's over there on Lock 52 and the Erie Canal. And you can stop there and visit the lock and learn a little more about Port Byron. In addition to this Mount Pleasant Cemetery here, there are 5 listed for this town. And there's Mount Pleasant, and they kind of break this into the old and new because this is still a current cemetery. This is still, if you die in Port Byron, you're going to be buried here. If you want to be buried here, you're going to be buried in the new sections that are over here. Then there's a Dixon Cemetery, which is basically a farm plot cemetery, a couple miles to the east of here, right on the town border, and called the Dixon Cemetery after the Dixon family, of course. There's a lot of Dixon in there, and then there's the original cemetery, what we call the King Cemetery, which is over by the thruway, by that Erie Canal Park, and that was some of the original burials are in there. Some I think were disinterred and brought up here later. It's a small cemetery right there on Maiden Lane. But nobody's getting buried there anymore. Then there's another small one, a Stevens Cemetery. And then the Wethy Cemetery, and they're both family cemeteries that are in the town. So if I'm confusing you, if you're not from New York State, and you're wondering, I say village and then I say town, We have villages, which are incorporated municipal entities, and then we have towns. So Port Byron is in the town, the village is in the town of Mentz. So you have a village government, you have a town government, and we're in the county of Cayuga, which probably best known for Auburn, the Harriet Tubman Auburn. Seward was in Auburn. It's pretty well known. And then right next to us we have Brutus, and on the other side we have Montezuma, and to the north we have Cato. So it's you get your county level, then you get your town level, then you get your village level. This is a town cemetery, Town of Mentz Cemetery, in the village of Port Byron, and we're in the county of Cayuga. So if you're doing your genealogical research, you can either search for Port Byron, Mentz, or Cayuga. And depending on how people have put their names into the find a grave or ancestry or wherever, all three of those will work. This is coming out real nice. This has a lot of green growth. I'm not going to scrub really hard on this. Like I say, it's an old stone. Tablet stones tend to be pretty thin. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time scrubbing away at this. I'm going to get it somewhat clean. Then I'll let the D2 work on it. Let's bring out the little brush, the toothbrush here, which you can find on Amazon for 10 for $1 or some silly thing. Does a great job of getting in these inscriptions. Can't read the rest of that. It says Daniels died. Let me get the water going here. Daniels, there's something in the middle here. That might be his, might be years and, no, because that's June 29th, 1829. June, what that is, aged 13 years? Let's get that a scrubbing. Yeah, this has been, it's either broken off or it's been stuck back in the ground because it is buried. There is more below here. But I'm not going to worry about that right now. It says they aged 13 years. All right. Somebody's son. So I'm going to let it go there. I'm just going to give the back a quick brush just to knock off loosen up the dirt. So get a little bit stiffer brush here. I can see either a base here or a keyway or something here. So it's leaned up against something. But all right. loosened up. And we'll let it go from there. And we'll give it a spray with the water. I'll do the D2 afterwards. Got a couple more here I want to do. We're gonna let that. So we do these cleanings. This is the, it's all sponsored by the local historic society, which is used to be called Lock 52 Historic Society. Now it's called Old Mentz Heritage Center. And we do this with the permission of the town. We, town says, great, go up there and help yourself. You know, as long as we're not doing any harm. We did did a little bit of study for a winter, watching people, and the wind is really blowing. It's nice. So we spent the winter watching helpful videos and whatnot, and then we started working at it. All right. And the town says, you know, town keeps an eye on us and says, you're doing all right. Start these guys here. These guys are going to be a challenge. Again, these are old tablets. This has got a fracture in it. You see that? So I'm going to be real careful. And they're leaning up against this other one here. This is all a family group. So, wouldn't be surprised if it's a Daniels or somebody, but I'll find out. Anyway, town keeps an eye on us and says, yeah, you guys are doing okay. Haven't done any harm. And that's our motto, do no harm. These are right out of the keyway. They're sitting there, they were probably flopped over at one time. Somebody propped them back up, placed them against this other headstone, which is probably not good for that headstone. Again, these are all tablets. And they're not real thick. But let's see what we got. Let's just scrape off here. And a fracture, looks like a fracture right here, or something starting, so we're just going to take it easy with it. Start with our stiff brush. A lot of these, or most of these burials up here were recorded. Spoken about this before, when the Frank Skilton in the 19-teens, 1920s, him and his wife came out and kind of did an early find a grave. A lot of local cemeteries in Hugo County. And yeah, I can see a Daniels right here. And then those records were taken over by the women of the DAR in 1960s and kind of updated. They came through and did a survey and updated some of those records. By then, some of these headstones are missing or fallen over in the years. So, and then somebody took those and put them onto the find a grave. So usually when we're doing the find a grave, we just have to, if we can read a name or get a date or something, we can usually figure out who it is. My wife is down below working on the some of the new sections, some of the burials that have happened since the find a grave information was put in by the person who is the head administrator of those. Watch that stuff just blow off there. Yeah, it's taking it easy with these guys. I'm not going to be real aggressive with them. See if I can keep my fat head out of here. Who do we got? M-A-R-Y, Mary. Mary Daniels. Unfortunately, you go back looking for these people, there was no newspaper in that time. There was a county newspaper in Auburn, but they didn't always cover Fort Byron news, unless you were somebody famous. And of course, the census didn't record women until 1950. So sometimes it's tough to tell anything about these women or the older residents. We got a lot of black moldy stuff onto it. Treat it real easy. Let's see. It's starting to come on. Let's see, get my fingernail brush. This black mold stuff here. Scrub and scrub and scrub. It ain't gonna come off. Just gotta let the D2 work on it. I think it says Angel. Yeah, it looks like Angel there. This might be another daughter or another young person. Find my toothbrush. Means I have to get back on my knees. Something of Angel. Of course, the town records don't go back this far. Over the years, they've inherited some of the paperwork from the old cemetery, but this wasn't officially a town cemetery until 1950. Before that, it was the Mount Pleasant Cemetery Association. That was started in the 1880s or 1890s and lasted to the 1950s. And then they kind of sold everything or gave everything to the town to take over. So the town doesn't have a lot of responsibility for the old section. I mean, they mow it and trim it and pick up, but their interments are in the new sections. So it's we don't have a lot of records about these people, other than that skeleton records. Town records. The state didn't require the town to keep records until 1884, I think, somewhere in there. And we just started helping the town digitize some of the, or photograph some of the old town record. I was going through the burial book the other day, photographing it. Interesting stuff. All right. We can't publicize or we can't share some of that information because for some reason it has how they died, and you're not supposed to share how people died, what they died of, which I don't understand, because you just go in the newspaper and usually find somebody died of cancer or old age or getting run over by a train or whatever. That's all in the newspaper, but you can't share that according to New York state law. So we can't publicize the record books. But if you happen to be doing research, you want to call or write and ask, we can share the information with you. That's just, we're going to leave it right there. So we know Mary Daniels. We'll move over one more here and see who this is. So the record book we were doing was from, I think, 1884 to 1903. Kind of fun. Let's see. Put you right there. Let's say if you want to ask old Mentz, if you're doing local history, family history, you can either ask the town or you can ask old Mentz Heritage Center, the Historic Society. Can help you out. Takes the pressure off the town clerk, who's got an awful lot to do anyway, so the more we can do to help her out. This looks like Elizabeth. This is a different style, so I'm assuming this is going to be maybe a little bit newer. Get down in here, get comfy. So whenever we do one of these, I always get asked, what do you use? What do you use? So this is our third year doing this. We started in COVID time, just like everybody else did. I've always wanted to come up here and clean off some of these stones and help record the information and whatnot as the town historian and working with the Historic Society. So it was always an interest anyway. So when we had the COVID and everybody was doing TikTok videos, started watching, started learning, and so what we learned you can use D2 biocide right from the get-go. As I said, I think a lot of the TikTokers like to use it because it's fast. It's pretty dramatic when the stuff just washes off there. Or you could use what they call Orvis WP soap. And then there's camps that say use what they call wet and forget, which is a household chemical you can get. And it seems like early on they were unsure if wet and forget was any good for if it would harm to marble. It was all right for the granite, which is a different type of stone. Marble and granite are two different beasties altogether. So anyway, so we always took the safe option. The videos we watched said use D2. Some said use Orvis. Some said just use D2. And then the minute you get comments going, somebody's in there saying use wet and forget, use wet and forget. And but since these are not our stones, we're doing this for the town. We're going to take the safest option possible. We're going to use what the National Park Service uses, which is the D2. And we also follow Atlas Preservation on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram and everything else. And they use D2. And the guy's been doing it, John's been doing it for 30, 40 years, knows a heck of a lot more than I know. So I'm going to trust his judgment. If he says use D2, I'll use the D2. Now, the other day, if you're following Atlas, they've been doing a 48-state tour. Every summer they go out and they hit every state. And this year they've been really working at, look at that. Wife of George Daniels. Look at that. Amazing. Anyway, they've been doing this 48-state tour, and the other day they posted a really interesting video, TikTok. I haven't seen it anywhere else, which is sad, because it really deserves a lot wider broadcast. Hope they'll put it on YouTube. And they were talking with us, National Cemetery or National Preservation guy. Anyway, got another guy who knows the stuff, does studies. And they were talking about Orvis and D2, because of course every stop they make on this tour, they get asked the same question. What do you use? What do you use? And if you have not seen this little TikTok, Lady Tapos, who apparently is John's partner, posted it. And on her TikTok, it's not even on the Atlas Preservation one. Anyway, they were talking about Orvis, and they were talking about the how Orvis is different than the D2. Now D2 is both are a biocide. I'm gonna do my Cliff Notes version, what I understood, and what you should do is go back and watch this, of course. But geez. D2 is a surfactant, Orvis is a surfactant. Surfactants are just soaps. D2 has a biocide in it. So you have the surfactant, which helps wash away the grime, and you have the biocide, which attacks all the growth and stuff that's in the stone, on the stone. So what they were saying was the Orvis, if you use Orvis and then you use D2, and the reason people do this, the reason we started doing it is because D2 is expensive. I mean, it's just God, golly, it's expensive. It's $50 a gallon. It takes a lot. So, you know, people are looking for cheaper ways to do this because this is a hobby. Nobody's paying us to do this. It's a hobby. We're out here. We're trying to do the best we can. So we're looking for ways to safely cut costs. So that's why people started using Orvis, and Orvis was approved. It was as a surfactant, as a soap. It's non-pH, and what they're saying is conservators use it for textile conservation. It's very safe. It's very gentle, and they I can almost make out this. And they people started using it for headstones because it's non-ionic, it's neutral pH. But as a surfactant, what John was saying is it leaves a film, the surfactant film on the stone unless you get it real clean. And then when you spray the D2 on there, his argument is that the surfactant in the Orvis will block the surfactant from the D2 from working, from grabbing hold, getting in. It can almost form a barrier. Makes sense. John is also a seller of D2 and probably gets it at a very reasonable rate. In the short time I've been doing this, for the 3 years now, or 2.5 years, I've been using the Orvis soap and the D2, and I can say I've had very good success. I haven't noticed, the stones in the end get very clean, very white, after they've been allowed to kind of age for a while and let the stuff work. I don't know if it would work faster if it was just straight D2 alone. But I can also say that I use a lot of water. In these spray bottles, I use water. I have my soap for spritzing. I have my big thing for the soap too. So I use a lot of water. I use the soap. So whether the scrubbing and all the water helps to wash off the surfactant and makes the D2 work okay, I don't know. I can't afford to do the straight D2 treatments. I wish I could. But for now, we're going to stick with that regimen, the Orvis soap, and it's working. All right, so Elizabeth, wife of George Daniels, died April maybe? 18-something 7. It might be 1867. Age. Oh, I can't make that out yet. And then there is a inscription down here. We'll let the D2 work on it and come back when it's got a little bit cleaner, and we'll see how it looks. I want to show you this. This dried out. Look at the difference in there, with the water. If you're out trying to read stone, sometimes just spraying it with the water will make a big difference. This is the one we cleaned before. Also, varying your angle and getting the sun. Okay, so we got one more we're going to do here. There's more in this family group, but those are the ones that were really cruddy. These other ones are not too bad a shape. I'm not going to worry about them. There's a Daniels out there. It's George Daniels. I can read that one okay. 1811 maybe? Charles Daniels, 1836 it looks like. This is we got this guy. And I gotta refocus you here. And this is a real interesting one. I'm hoping this wind isn't so much that you can't hear anything. So this one here is a tablet stone, and it's pretty fragile. There's cracks in it. It's sturdy, but there's cracks in it. I don't know if this is limestone, but it's you can see the front is delaminating here. So it's I think it's a limestone because that's hammer dressed, and that looks just like the hammer dressing they have on the Erie Canal stonework on the locks. I'm assuming this is a limestone. And the other day we were doing this, and we found out that this is Giles. I forget his last name, Eandon or whatever. Eandon, I think was the name. No information on him. It's not a local family. And so all we're going to do with this one, I'm not even going to scrub it. We're not going to do anything because I'm really afraid of damaging it. It's already falling apart. But we're going to spray it with the D2. We're going to let the D2 work on its own. And we'll come back and see what it looks like. Document it, because it is going to keep falling apart. I mean, we can't conserve it. We don't have money to conserve it. So we're just going to let the D2 work on it. See how it foams up? That's the surfactant. Now with the marble, these usually turn orange, some shade of burnt orange. See if this does it with the looks like it's starting. Now if this is somebody famous, town father, somebody like that, you know, founding father, we would certainly look at conserving this. This is the only one in this group. Might have been a relative of somebody who lived here. Just don't have any information on him. Died early, that there's no records, not even in the census. So we're just going to let that go. And we're going to we'll come back here. We're going to spray these guys here. Now these are marble. Oh, the story about the wet and forget. Anyway, there'll always be people who want to wet and forget. Wet and forget's cheaper. And this conservator guy, and John from Atlas, was saying it works. Everybody says, you know, it works. It's accepted. But it also has a list of precautions. You know, precautions that you have to take for your own health. You'll notice I'm in shorts. This stuff is getting blown all over. I'm not using gloves for my Orvis or my D2. But I'm not, the MDS, what they call the material data safety sheets, for D2 is, I guess, nothing. Whereas for the wet and forget, it's kind of caustic. And if you're not protecting yourself, I'm going to spray this one too, just because it's here. I'm here. And I get rid of the earwigs that are climbing all over it. We'll just compare how this one works. Let's do this. know, the stuff is, when something has a D2 or a MSDS sheet that says, you know, wear gloves, wear a mask, wear protective gear, it's something you have to be concerned about. And as somebody who's gone through lymphoma, cancer, and hopefully won't ever see it again, I'm going to take the safest possible route. I'm going to use the D2, and I'm going to use the Orvis. There's people who want to use the, this is the one we did before. This is another, just showing you around. The people who want to use the wet and forget, I guess you have the blessing to go ahead with all the hazards and warranties. And we'll leave it at that. Anyway, that's it for now. Thanks for sticking around for all this time, and see you later.